Hey guys, welcome back to UFOs Above Us. All right, today we're going to do a new video of the moon. This is based on a video I shot recently, and we're going to look at 4 still images that I captured from that video stream. And just as we've done in the past, look for objects of interest. I'm going to start off up here. So I'm going to blow this up, get it pretty much full screen. And we're going to look at these 3 objects, this one, and this one. And I would assume you can already see what caught my attention there. Look at this central one, for example. Now tell me that doesn't look like an elevated platform right there on some kind of a big central post. I don't know what else to say. That certainly doesn't look like something naturally occurring on the moon. But I'll let you draw your conclusion. I'm going to make it even a little bigger there. You can look at all the smaller structures around it. It just does not look naturally occurring to me. What about y'all? Does that look like that could be a naturally occurring object? And then the question would be, combine all 3 of these and then answer that same question. Could all 3 of these be naturally occurring? Let's look at this one. It's a different shape platform. Notice it's got this big point sticking out. Pretty strange. I mean, that could be naturally occurring, but it would be kind of unlikely. But then if you look right here, it has what almost looks like a giant hinge and some kind of a beam going across to this central base right here. So I know it's unusual, and my question is, what's the origin of this? Do you think that is a naturally occurring straight across piece held up by this straight across piece? Most people, I believe, if they were going to be truthful about this and not have a bias, just looking at it objectively, they say no. That's intelligent design. Now, it could be made by us, could be made by Russia, could be made by China, or it could be made by someone from another planet. I don't know, and I don't want to know ahead of time. I want to look at the pictures, look at the images and these objects, and draw conclusions based on what I see. Now, I'm a scientist, and that's how I study this question of what's in the skies above us. So let's just look at this third one. It's not as exciting to me, but certainly does not look naturally occurring. I mean, if you look at these structures, really strange shapes. This one has some prongs sticking up, and even this right here almost reminds me of a turret on an old battleship, the shape of those. So I don't know what these things are, but they do not look naturally occurring. I'll just leave it at that. Now we're going to just glance at this image to see what else is on here, because we have 4 to look at, and I don't want this to run longer than 10 minutes because I know everybody's busy and don't want to spend forever listening to me talk. So we'll just look at these. And there's a lot of objects we could talk about here that my eyes catching as I go through. Even that one right there, I think that's a camouflage something, but let's focus on the real obvious ones today. And again, if you see something that I didn't talk about and you want to bring it up, put it in the comments and I'll respond. I'd love feedback. Y'all have sharp eyes. I've already had some viewers catch stuff that I missed. So if you see something, say, hey, what about this object? Put it in the comments and we'll take a look at it. And if I need to, I'll do another video. Okay, so lots of interesting little objects. I'll just point out this one because we're going to talk about it in a minute. That kind of reminds me of I think, what do they call them? Pagodas in Japan. Those structures kind of looks like a little tower on a castle. Boy, it looks a lot like that shape to me. And we'll look at more pictures of that. So let's go to the second one. Now, these are from a video as I swept across the moon, and I'm shooting this from a steep angle. So here's what I want you to envision, why I shoot these at such a sharp angle. It allows you to see depth. Real simple. Picture if you took a pencil and you stuck it in the ground and you stood directly over it, what would that pencil look like to you? Well, it's going to look like a circle. But if you took that same pencil and held it out at arm's length, then what does that pencil look like? And it looks like a straight line. So what we're doing is we're trying to view the moon from an angle so we can see some of the height of the objects on the moon. And that's what we're doing here. In addition, we try to get the contrast zone between light and shadow because you see a lot more there The brightness of the moon washes out pictures very easily. So in the second picture, let's just go ahead and look at this one. And there's a lot of interesting things about this object. To me, it looks like a pagoda, maybe a cross between a Japanese, and I might be saying the wrong word, whatever those towers are called. Someone knows the answer, tell me. But it also looks a little like the Eiffel Tower in this picture. But the other thing I was going to point out, look at all that blue right there. And I just read recently that they've discovered lots of frozen water, lots of ice on the moon. I wonder if all these areas that are blue, if that's not what that ended up being. And they've confirmed it now, that this is all ice, which is obviously important to us if we do exploration on the moon. If you have ice and you have a nuclear energy source, you can melt that ice into water and then use that water to split it into hydrogen and oxygen. I mean, it's a huge find if that's the case. I don't know that it is, but that's what I read. All right, so interesting object right there. Let's see what else we see in this picture. More of the blue right there, by the way. One other thing I'll just point out quickly. Notice how all these craters aren't round. That one looks square. This big indentation right here looks square. This one up here looks rectangular. So the argument that these are all asteroid impacts, it doesn't hold water with me. You know, just the common sense test tells us that can't be the case. Now what it is, I don't know, but it's not that. I'll just point out this area up here. Shrink it just a little so it fits on screen for you. Well, that area right there looks like some kind of a compound. There's a big building, got some kind of a rectangular, and you've got it closed in on what looks like kind of like a right angle. So, again, just some things of interest there. And I know when I first looked at this, I thought that might be a spacecraft. I don't know that it is, but it's definitely V-shaped, isn't it? So just looking at this picture, kind of scanning it to see if we see any other objects of interest. Those are the main ones that I was going to point out. Be looking in this area. It doesn't show up in this picture very well, but the next picture it will. Okay, we'll start off by looking at another picture of this area. And you get another view of this. Isn't that an interesting structure right there? Again, you can see the blue, what I suspect is water. And you see how it has these two white areas right here? And you got some blue. It looks like it's changing height. It almost reminds me of a water slide. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying it's a gigantic water slide on the moon. That's crazy. But that's what it reminded me of. Interesting structure, though, right? With that circular top, with that little wedge right there. What does that remind y'all of in that picture? I'll let you draw your own conclusions there. Okay, so looking at this picture, let's see what else we see real quickly so we don't run too long on this video. All right, so the only other thing I'm going to bring up on this one is right here. So look at this green object right there. And look at the bottom of this crater. You've got some kind of a structure right there, but this is the one I really focus on because of the color. It's green. And this isn't where I've kind of changed the hue or anything. I left the colors the exact way the camera captured them, and that really stands out as a different color than everything else. So I thought that was interesting. So don't know what it is, but that is pretty interesting to me. All right. One more picture. This one you can see that kind of compound, what reminds me of a compound right there. You can see it a little better. I mean, I don't know of an asteroid that could cause a crater rim like that, do y'all? But if you look around it, everything around it looks man-made to me. I mean, look at these rectangular shapes. Those almost look like buildings right there. And you just have too many of them for them all to be coincidental or just a fluke. I think at some point you have to say, look, there is some intelligent design going on the moon. I mean, that's all there is to it. So I'll just show you one more blow up of that object. There's the object on the rim of that crater. And it's just an unusual color and an unusual shape to me. All right, so this is just one more in the series. I've got hours and hours of this type of video that I can study, and we can analyze them one by one. I could do one of these every day the rest of my life, and we could look at new objects every day. So I hope you're enjoying these. Again, my purpose with this is to share information. So if you've got any comments, suggestions, something that I missed that you'd like me to bring up more pictures of, post it in the comments. I'll do my best. And for UFOs above us, keep watching those skies.